Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 Origin Continent based on novel. So let's start. Time flows by. Luo Feng, with black clothes and black hair, walks within the endless primordial space, gazing into the distance. His eyes fall upon a source world, within which the sea of chaos nurtures countless small universes, each containing numerous plane worlds. Luo Feng's gaze rests on one of these plane worlds, for in it, there too flourishes humanity, bearing 8 or 9 parts resemblance to the humans of Earth. The lifespan of these humans is mostly no more than 100 years. Culturally, it bears 7 or 8 parts similarity to Earth. Among countless civilizations across countless source worlds, Luo Feng rarely encounters one so similar to his home Earth. In this world, the people face the threat of phantom demons. Follow current novels on Novel Times Fire Times Net. Generations upon generations have fought against these phantom demons, forming a unique cultivation system. What is true? What is false? Is your strength false? Borrowing the false to cultivate the true is also possible. Within this world, a master is teaching his disciple. Master, is there a way to completely eradicate the phantom demons? The disciple asks. There is, the master replies, looking at his disciple. But generation after generation, the ultimate fate of us cultivators is to perish at the hands of the phantom demons. The disciple feels helpless, having uncovered the truth of the world since beginning his path of cultivation. Regardless of the sect, generations of disciples continue to die. What couldn't be done in the past doesn't mean it can't be done in the future. The master smiles faintly and then looks up. The Dharma has been passed down to you. I must now do what I need to do. The disciple is stunned. He has only just begun his journey. Wolf Demon Mountain has plagued the northwest 13 cities. I cultivated to eradicate Wolf Demon Mountain. Now that the lineage of Zwa Mountain has been passed down, I have no more attachments. The master smiles, patting the disciple on the head before turning away. Swoosh, in an instant, he traverses the sky, leaving a mark of torn sky high above, heading straight for Wolf Demon Mountain. Master! The disciple kneels, crying as he watches this unfold. Wolf Demon Mountain is the entire world's second only to heavenly calamity, an earth-level calamity, shrouding a region with the forces of the phantom demons. A terrifying battle within Wolf Demon Mountain. The master, with an incomparable natural talent, sacrifices much of his life, but finally extinguishes the phantom demon of Wolf Demon Mountain. Just as he feels great satisfaction watching the phantom demon perish, a force descends upon the deceased phantom demon. That wolf demon, after absorbing this force, not only revives, but also sees a surge in strength. Rumble tilde tilde tilde, the influence range of the entire Wolf Demon Mountain quickly expands. Ha ha, because of you, I broke through in desperation, and from now on, Wolf Demon Mountain shall be a heavenly calamity. The wolf demon laughs. Heavenly calamity. The heavily wounded master looks incredulously at this scene. How could this be? Heavenly calamity will harm half a nation. I am a sinner, a sinner. The master can't accept everything he sees at this moment. He has cultivated for 30 years for this one moment to destroy the wolf demon. Who would have thought he helped the wolf demon grow even stronger? This world, already ravaged by hardship, has now gained another heavenly calamity. It's truly powerless. The master watches the bloodthirsty maw of the wolf demon envelope the heavens, ready to swallow him. The transformed and strengthened wolf demon, he has no more strength to resist. He can only face death. At that moment, Luo Feng, in the endless primordial space, from a remote time and space, watches this source world's sea of chaos among countless universes, sees all that unfolds in the plane world. The layout of world-level Primordial, how can you little ones possibly resist? Luo Feng lightly shakes his head. In this source world, there is an avatar of world-level primordial life, and the avatar remains at the primal chaos realm upper limit. With the power of the primal chaos realm upper limit, it can secretly scheme and wreak havoc in countless universes. This source world is overly scattered in strength. Each universe is less than a 10,000th of the primordial cosmos. The strongest native cultivate here doesn't even reach true god level. Naturally, the avatar of the world-level primordial life manipulates everything with ease. All life continually feeds intense fear, despair, anger, hatred, and other negative emotions. Even with lifespans of just several decades, their high intelligence, intense emotions, and vast numbers make them the food world-level primordial beings covet. After all, the accumulated intense emotions of such large numbers far surpass the emotions of the far scarcer innate primordial life. Even across distant time and spaces, Luo Feng, with a single thought, sends an avatar descending into that source world. Luo Feng's avatar also possesses the strength of the primal chaos realm upper limit. Yet this avatar, using his hand as a blade, lightly swings it. Annihilate. Luo Feng's avatar softly utters a word. Words become law. The blade light follows the life chi mechanism and slaughters the avatar of the world-level primordial. Furthermore, it annihilates the numerous calamitous forces of this source world. The wolf demon, merely one of countless calamity forces, is naturally directly obliterated. Wolf Demon Mountain. The master stares at the bloodthirsty maw of the wolf demon swallowing the skies. Suddenly, the wolf demon vanishes soundlessly. All phantom demons throughout the entire world vanish. Even all disaster forces across the entire source world, all universes, disappear entirely, without a trace. What happened? The master stands up, bewildered, glancing around. He discovers that the sky is brighter than ever before. The dark and grey aura representing the phantom demon completely vanished, the sky cleared, and for the first time, the sunlight thoroughly illuminated the entire world. Between heaven and earth, all phantom demon power was entirely gone. Is this real, or fake? The master couldn't believe it at that moment. Have I fallen into an illusory realm? As he verified the truth time and time again. It's real. This world is real, the phantom demons are gone, gone. The master was beside himself with excitement. Our world has finally completely eradicated the phantom demons. Although he told his disciples there was hope to completely destroy all phantom demons. But in his heart, he didn't believe it. All he could do was burn himself, making the world a little better. But today, the scene he dared not even dream of finally appeared. Luo Feng stood in the endless primordial space, looking at all of this from afar, with a faint smile on his face. The joy of the people also infected Luo Feng, and he too felt pleased. Once, I was like them, the most ordinary and humble life in this source world. Luo Feng watched. They are weak, but they have love and hatred, desires and pursuits. Luo Feng cares about these most bottom-level sufferings, and he empathizes with the weak. Because he once was a life of this level. Golden Lord, after all, was born as part of the Destruction Demon clan. From the start of life, it was accustomed to destroying countless lives. Their clan feeds on the law of the jungle, selecting the most powerful Destruction Demon clan members. Golden Lord had no mercy for the weakest at the bottom level. Since birth, it was about slaughtering these weak ones, so why would there be compassion? But Luo Feng pities them. Because Luo Feng was once one of them. What I can do now is very limited. Luo Feng looked around. The countless source worlds that have gone through incredibly intense suffering and are still experiencing it. All of this tells Luo Feng over and over again. The consequence of weakness. For the homeland source world, not to fall to this point. Also for these countless weak ones. Strong desires naturally burgeoned in Luo Feng's heart. One day, I, Luo Feng, will ensure that in the entire endless primordial space, no creatures dare devour any source world. Luo Feng silently vowed. To achieve this, one needs immensely terrifying strength. To truly instill fear in the ancestors. My blade isn't sharp enough yet. Luo Feng continued walking in the endless primordial space. Luo Feng's numerous avatars traveled everywhere, watching the past and present of various source worlds. If they encountered any world-level primordial life devouring the source world origin, or creatures, Luo Feng would effortlessly kill them. The deceased world-level primordial numbers appeared not significant. Yet, over time, the accumulated number became substantial. Recently, don't touch the source world. Whether it's the creatures of the source world, or the source world origin. Just by attempting to devour, will attract that Lord Luo Feng. Once he appears, we stand no chance of resisting and face certain death. Let's not exchange source world resources for the time being. As Luo Feng killed one world-level primordial after another, the spreading news made nearly all world-level primordial in the entire endless primordial space temporarily refrain from devouring source world resources. They even dared not descend avatars upon the source world, fearing Lord Luo Feng's wrath. Thus, the suffering of countless source worlds suddenly vanished during the time when Lord Luo Feng's numerous avatars roamed. Even the world-level primordials can feel fear. In the entire endless primordial space, there are over 2 million world-level primordial lives. As the founder of the primordial life and death Tao, Luo Feng can sense the life chi of all world-level primordial lives with a single thought. The ratio of these innate primordial lives birthing world-level primordials is indeed much higher than that of the cultivators. Among them, the innate primordial camp consists of over 800,000 world-level primordial lives. Many world-level primordials also inhabit very remote places. I have walked for only hundreds of epochs, and cumulatively killed just 7,000 world-level primordials, yet it scared all of them. Luo Feng sighed somewhat. He used to believe he was powerless against the countless source worlds outside the cultivator territory. Yet upon acting, he discovered merely slaughtering over 7,000 world-level primordials dramatically improved the environment of countless source worlds. Hence, some things need to be attempted. When done, there will be an appropriate feedback. Luo Feng looked far ahead. Far away, time and space began to twist, faintly connecting with a distant place. A grand silhouette looking at Luo Feng from afar. It then directly crossed through time and space, arriving at this vast expanse. An endlessly winding great serpent hovered in mid-air, precisely the infinite snake ancestor, the 9 emperors leader within the innate primordial camp. Luo Feng, stop right there. Infinite snake ancestor looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at the endless winding serpent before him, its cold eyes fixed on Luo Feng, filled with wrath. Stop. Luo Feng looked at the other, smiling indifferently. Infinite snake ancestor, I haven't done much killing recently. The infinite snake ancestor glared at Luo Feng, unwilling to accept the fact, yet it knew clearly, this newly ascended cultivator lord has become a terrifying enemy to the innate primordial camp. This formidable foe is incredibly powerful, and it's rising rapidly. According to their predictions, this Lord Luo Feng might surpass the Starlight Lord in the future, becoming the greatest threat. Lord Luo Feng, the infinite snake ancestor spoke, its voice thunderous, in the recent 100 epochs, you have intercepted and killed all world-level primordial life forms devouring the source world. More than 7,000 world-level primordial have died by your hands. You indeed haven't continued killing recently, and that's because those world-level primordial beings are scared, no longer daring to devour source world resources. That's a good thing. Luo Feng nodded slightly, innate primordial life, born to break free from the braided cage. The endless primordial space nurtures a variety of resources that can facilitate their growth. They fundamentally don't need to devour the source world origin. Without devouring the source world origin, innate primordial life can still grow stronger and become ancestors. Luo Feng smiled, looking at the infinite snake ancestor. In this way, innate primordial life and source world creatures need not become mortal enemies. The infinite snake ancestor paused. Not devouring. Innate primordial life comprises various species. Some species benefit greatly from devouring the source world origin, while others gain little effect. Some species have no effect at all. However, the infinite race is deemed the species with the best effect from devouring the source world origin. Making them abandon the source world origin would diminish their hope of birthing ancestors by 70 to 80%. This cannot be tolerated. Impossible. The infinite snake ancestor roared in anger. The source world is scattered across the endless primordial space. Why should I abandon this resource? Luo Feng. The infinite snake ancestor stared at Luo Feng. You should know, most innate primordial life species need the source world origin. By blocking this, you're turning against all innate primordial life. Content originally comes from novelfire.net. You don't represent all innate primordial life. Luo Feng looked at it. Since you aim to devour the source world, being counterattacked by source world creatures is only right. To devour the source world, only to be counterslaughtered by source world creatures. This is causality. I remind you, the infinite snake ancestor said, preventing many species from devouring source world resources. Short-term patience can be endured, but over time, it will trigger new wars. Then the flames of war will spread across your cultivator territory, many world groups will fall, and these consequences you must also bear. Infinite snake ancestor, rest assured. Luo Feng looked at it. I promise you, once war begins, the fires will certainly spread to your territory. In the last war, I had just become a lord, my means were average, only managing to kill a few ancestors. Luo Feng grinned. Recently, I've made a breakthrough in strength. If another war starts, I'll definitely bring you a bigger surprise. The infinite snake ancestor immediately thought of it. Thought of that terrifying origin great destruction. Luo Feng's current strength has clearly further advanced, his means would definitely be more troublesome. Your cultivator camp just needs to bear the consequences. The infinite snake ancestor left coldly, then its figure turned to void, completely vanished without a trace. Luo Feng stood in mid-air. Start another war. Do you have that capability? Luo Feng mockingly thought. Not looking down on the infinite snake ancestor, but the cultivator camp and innate primordial camp have been at odds for too long, both sides know each other too well. Infinite snake ancestor, indeed the most influential in the innate primordial camp, yet still limited. First, those ancestors of species not much needing source world resources, are unwilling to start a war. Those weaker in power, at risk of dying, are also unwilling to start a war. The faction of the giant god emperor doesn't like war either. How many ancestors can the infinite snake ancestor rally for battle? One must know, all 8 cultivator lords are undying and imperishable. Among the innate primordial camp, those ancestors, only 5 are undying and imperishable, others over 100 may face death. Without sufficient advantage, without sufficient safety, how many would be willing to fight? Merely intercepting thousands of world-level primordials is enough to start a war. Luo Feng doesn't believe, nor does the Starlight Lord who can observe countless future possibilities. The innate primordial camp, the 9 emperors' avatars gathered. Luo Feng is stronger. Once war breaks out, the casualties are unpredictable. Initial said. Luo Feng has not wantonly slaughtered, as long as source world origin is not devoured, there's no conflict. The giant god emperor remarked, "Infinite, I think your infinite race overestimates the source world origin. Occasionally abstaining from the source world origin might better assist the evolution of the life core. Having insufficient strength and forcibly starting a war would only be more disgraceful," the black-tied ancestor said indifferently. The infinite snake ancestor looked at the scene before it. Even among the 9 emperors, those willing to start a war are few because their interests aren't affected. "Should we just let this Luo Feng oppress us?" The silent extinction ancestor spoke, longing for the outbreak of war, seeing its old friend infinite ancestor already undying and imperishable, while it was still lacking. "It's not exactly oppression," the infinite ancestor smiled. "The two camps often have conflicts. Innate primordial life also venture into the cultivator territory to seize resources. What Luo Feng has done is much more restrained than the Starlight Lord. Once, the Starlight Lord, to collect the innate primordial bloodline, killed world-level primordial life numbering several tens of thousands. At least Luo Feng is reasonable, targeting only world-level primordial life devouring the source world. Starlight was unreasonable, just to gather the bloodline, killing each one outright. It's not suitable to start a war, suddenly spoke the mother of spacetime. The other 8 looked at the mother of spacetime. Although the mother of spacetime couldn't observe countless timelines of the future like Starlight, she could still see glimpses of a few futures. The other 8 took the opinions of the mother of spacetime very seriously. "I can see it," the mother of spacetime said. "The outcome of starting a war is not favorable for our innate primordial camp." The mother of spacetime foresaw a war even more brutal than the last. The cultivator camp might pay a certain price, but the price the innate primordial camp would pay would be much more painful. "Let's wait for now," said the inference fire ancestor. "Isn't Luo Feng exploring the abyss of destruction? The deeper he probes, the greater the danger will be. He will also reveal more of his strength. Once we clearly understand his power, even if war breaks out in the future, we will be better prepared." "All right, let's wait for now." The infinite snake ancestor also realized that pushing wasn't possible, and relative to other lords, Luo Feng's strength was indeed a mystery. Understanding the enemy and oneself leads to better responses. Demon Ruins and Shoju are both belligerent. Facing off against them, Luo Feng is sure to reveal more of his power. Inference Fire Ancestor looked forward to it. Time flew by, and it had been 500 epochs since Luo Feng intercepted and devoured the world-level primordial life of the source world. In these 500 epochs, no further world-level primordials dared to consume source world resources, not even the ancestors did so temporarily. Some newly ascended weaker ancestors might still gain some benefits from consuming the source world origin. However, as their strength grew, the effects of the source world origin would become increasingly negligible. For those at the level of the silent extinction ancestor, consuming more source world origin was already useless. Hua 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 tilde 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 tilde. Beside the origin continent origin world, within the mysterious land of the blood crane territory, the tides of the endless blood sea surged. On an island in the depths of the blood sea, Luo Feng, draped in blood-red robes, with black hair and clad in black, sat cross-legged. 500 epochs, I've seen all the source worlds. Luo Feng's eyes were complex. Over these 500 epochs, numerous avatars had roamed various places, observing the history of each source world. Not only outside the cultivator territory, but even all the source worlds within the cultivator territory, Luo Feng had seen them all. Those source worlds within the territory could be divided into 2 eras, the era of the Lord's rule and the era of the innate primordial's rule. In the era of the innate primordial's rule, the source worlds within the territory were equally tragic, left to be devoured at will. The rise of the lords, guarding each region, changed the situation. Only then did countless source worlds have hope. Buzz. All the historical memories of countless source worlds resided within Luo Feng's heart. These memories, time and again, tempered Luo Feng's inner heart, forging that heart of destruction. The sheer volume of these memories was enormous. After all, they encompassed countless civilizations and the lifetimes of innumerable creatures, yet Luo Feng, as a lord, could still perfectly integrate all the historical memories. The experiences of a creature determine its soul. These incomparably heavy historical memories also influenced Luo Feng's heart. The more one loves this world, loves this multitude of life, the more they need an unwavering heart of destruction. Because, being merciful to those innate primordial lives that devour the source worlds, is to be cruel to the cultivator species. The greatest mercy to the cultivator species is to destroy all those who devour the source worlds. Anyone who devours the source worlds, who devours the life of the source worlds, will be killed without mercy. Not a single one left. With the influence Luo Feng now holds, he can temporarily impact those innate primordials' consumption of the source worlds, but over time, those innate primordial species wouldn't endure it. At that time, the innate primordial camp might unite with the Ice Peak camp and weaker forces altogether. Destroying all source world devourers, this goal is immense. Even if I comprehend the primordial blade path, it may not be achievable. But I, Luo Feng, am willing to, in the endless epochs to come, act like the foolish old man who moved mountains, and do it step by step. Through this interception of a world-level primordial life, Luo Feng understood a principle: action leads to results. With strength comes results. As long as he acts, he will indirectly shelter countless creatures. Luo Feng smiled. The heart of destruction is formed. The next step is to harmonize heart and Tao, to completely integrate. Luo Feng immediately attempted, letting the heart of destruction govern the entire primordial blade path, as countless mysteries of the blade path began to integrate into one. Luo Feng's aura began to transform, resembling a destructively sharp blade, the aura of destruction far more terrifying than Jin and Kafu. This video will end here.